you can't say that about any other drug that's out there. Even aspirin is more dangerous, toxic than marijuana. So people, hopefully, as education gets better and better, and people, what it seems to me happens the most frequently for people that are just dead set against it and just believe that marijuana is just the worst thing in the world. Once that person either themselves have some reason to take marijuana, or they get really ill, they get cancer, they get something that marijuana will definitely help with, and they reluctantly try it, and then all of a sudden it gives them a benefit, and their attitude does a complete 180 overnight. Or they have a loved one or a friend, or I know a police officer that's a friend back in Indiana that he's had his attitude changed completely. He was one of the most dead set against marijuana. One of his neighbors she was terminal cancer, went up to, got some medical marijuana in Michigan, and was able to complete remission, complete and total, saved her life. And now she's able to living her life again, and she was in late stage cancer, like basically on the verge of death, and that's all he had to see to totally change his mind, and I'm very encouraged by that.
Well, I know Indiana's doing a marijuana summer study, and I know some of the issues that they brought up where, like, kids using more marijuana, and the car accidents, and then just safety of the product.
Right.
And some of the states they were pointing to were California and Colorado.
Sure.
They're saying there were increased car accidents here in Colorado from marijuana. Have you really seen a huge...
I haven't heard that myself. I'll be honest, I don't follow the news very much. But, you hear there's constant, like you were telling me, the efforts now just to raise awareness and do more to prevent people from driving under the influence and that kind of thing. I think there's definite efforts to help prevent that, but you also have to be realistic. Any time that a drug comes into the marketplace, there's going to be people that abuse it. There's going to be people that can't handle it or whatever. But
they need to be adults and be responsible.
Right, and even in those cases, it's still not a drug that's going to kill you. And so even in a terrible situation where someone might get some kind of an addiction or have some problem from it, it just doesn't destroy your life like other drugs do. Obviously you want to do everything you can to prevent that from happening and educate people and
like the child-proof caps on your medication,
right.
Put it up in the cabinet.
Safety warnings on the label, and public service announcements and education in schools and all that good stuff.
But not necessarily like they did in some of the schools in Indiana. They were saying it'd kill you. It's worse than heroin.
Oh my gosh!
And some of the kids came home
right.
We were at a rally, and the parent was really concerned because they said then the government loses credibility. The teachers lose credibility when they
Absolutely.
spread those lies.
Right, and it's a tough situation because my own dad, who runs a addiction center deals mostly with heroin addicts all day, and he's trying to turn those lives around, but the things that he sees from heroin are just terrible, and it doesn't have to be that way. I just think marijuana can do so much to replace a lot of, or not replace, but just provide a better option for people in their lives to treat an illness or whatever. Just help you relax after a long week or whatever. It's no different. It's not deadly. There's never, I don't know anybody that's ever had any bad issue. The worst thing that ever happened in this state was it's circumstantial type death, where someone that had never done the product did too much, and jumped off of a balcony or something like that, and it wasn't from overdosing on the marijuana. He got
something mental.
Yeah, and he might have also had other mental issues aside from that. So maybe not the best person to be using that product in the first place.
And you don't know what else they had either.
You don't. Yeah, that's unfortunately the press likes to seize on that. Where marijuana was in their system, but they don't tell you like what else was in their system or anything. So people that are against this drug are always going to find ways to knock it and find ways to try and make it look bad. But from people like me that have been in this industry, and I have plenty of friends, I use the product myself. I know many friends that do recreationally, and it's just not something that, it's just not harmful.
It hasn't lowered your IQ.
No, definitely not. That's a common misperception. It'll make you dumber. If it can affect your motivation levels. If depending on the type of strain it is, it can definitely make you tired, or but that can be a good thing if you're trying to get some rest, or you need to relax a little bit, or whatever. But there's other strains that give you more energy, and there's just so many different. There's thousands of different strains.
So it's like other drugs. Marijuana can come in different forms where it makes you relax, and then others that kind of help perk you up, kind of like caffeine.
Right, and everything in between, and everybody's different too. Everybody's body chemistry is different, and how it reacts to the marijuana plant. One person could smoke a bud, and another person smokes the same bud, and they might have different effects from it. So I don't feel like there's, a lot of people will say indica will make you more tired, and sativa will give you more energy, but that's not a hard and fast rule. It just depends on the person too. And they're learning a lot more about things like terpenes in there and how those affect you as well. So it's not just the THC, but the CBDs that might be in there, the terpenes might be in there, and they all work together. And there's still a lot being learned about those areas. A lot of research needs to be done.
Yeah, well, and they're finding out that it's the synergy of all those compounds that gets it the full effect. And when they take one little thing out, it can throw the whole treatment off.
Yeah, and there's a reason that pharmaceutical companies try to create synthetic marijuana back in the 50s or something like that, called Marinol. And that's personally why I feel like marijuana's been so under attack over the decades, is all the industries out there that are directly threatened by marijuana being legal are numerous and very powerful, like alcohol industry, the tobacco industry, cotton industry, the oil and gas industry, just off the top of my head, the pharmaceutical industry, they have some money to fight back. So, and they're also getting, the pharmaceutical industry, I heard recently, purchased over 300,000 acres up in northern Colorado for CBD production, for hemp production. So, companies like that wouldn't be getting involved if it was this terrible, deadly drug that is going to kill. Not that pharmaceuticals have the highest morals of any company out there, but there's a reason they're getting into it. They see the future too, and they see where this product is going to go. It's already a multi-billion-dollar industry in this country, already in Colorado, and
well, the alcohol companies jump on board by making cannabis beer because it's similar to a hop.
Right. It's actually in the same family as hops genetically, and so alcohol industry has definitely seen their sales have, I think, been declining since this movement started. I just think it's when you get a lot of rich and powerful people threatened by a whole new industry that they don't know anything about, it's no mystery to me why marijuana's been illegal all these years. I think it's got more to do with that than the actual danger of the drug itself to people.
Well, whenever you have finance involved with people, they worry about their money.
Absolutely. And these are some of the biggest, most powerful industries in the country. So, and they also have strong ties to politics. I mean, we've had presidents that brew beer, you know, and brew alcohol. And there's a lot of ties between the politicians and these industries. So I think that's got a lot to do with why it's illegal and why why it's been slow to get traction and become federally legal. But the thing we have on our side is it's generating a whole lot of money, and there's nothing politicians love more than money. And so I think that's hopefully going to allow us to kind of keep going the direction we're going, and eventually get to where it's federal. And another thing to consider is we're kind of missing out on the boat on some of the financial opportunities of this industry federally, because now Canada is allowing companies to go public in their stock market, and actually the company I'm talking with about running their grow is going to be doing that soon. And you know, we're talking billions of dollars that are going through the Canadian stock market that could be going through our stock market and helping America instead of Canada. You know, that's happening right now too. And
well, I just watched Governor Holcomb, Indiana's governor, go through different countries on his 6-country, 7-day tour. Every country he went through was either medical marijuana legal or decriminalized, except for France. And
right.
France is very similar to Indiana, but they had a lot of problems with their jails, overcrowded. They arrested like 64,000 people on drug charges, and they just didn't know what to do with the overcrowding. Indiana has a very similar issue. Is Colorado having an issue with their, you know, with
prison crowding? I haven't heard anything.
So they're not.
I would think it would help with that problem, legalization, because you're not going to be arresting people for all these stupid marijuana charges, which are, you know, anyone that's known meeting someone that is a marijuana smoker that's a violent, dangerous person is not the norm in my experience. You know?
Well, that's what I hear from a lot of police officers.
They'll tell you they would much rather deal with a call to deal with a marijuana issue than a domestic dispute or alcohol-related incident. Absolutely. I don't think there's many cops that would argue with that. So yeah, I think it would help with the overcrowding, because it's just simply ridiculous to put people in prison for marijuana-related charges. So right there, you could solve your overcrowding problem by just releasing those people.
Well, and I was looking at,
unless they are dangerous, obviously, for some reason.
Yeah, I was looking at Hamilton County, and they said jail, and they said a lot of their people in jail were non-violent offenders.
Yeah.
And I just thought, well, that's kind of crazy to hold people in jail for non-violent offender charges. And I know that marijuana is one of those non-violent offender charges in Indiana still.
Yeah.
And so I was thinking Colorado probably don't have hardly anybody in for marijuana.
No, I think a lot of times the cases get dismissed, from what I understand. You know, if they even make it to court. You know, there's just way bigger priorities. You know, the police have bigger problems to deal with. The jails, you know, it can be used for housing people that are an actual threat to society, and not marijuana growers or consumers. It's just, you know.
I've heard a lot of the tax dollars go to schools and the police.
Yeah, and actually now we're generating so much surplus tax dollars that they weren't expecting from the growth of our economy and the population boom, that they're actually now earmarking some of that money, I think, for roads and other things, because it's generating too much money to handle for the education system and everything else. So yeah, there's no shortage of good things they're doing with the money.
Wow, roads. That's one of the things that Indiana was having a problem with. They increased the gas tax because we didn't have enough money for roads.
Here, the roads aren't. The weather here is kind of hard on roads, so I think that's part of it. But yeah, it's good to hear that they're using it for that. And so, yeah, a lot of good can come from it. And then of course you can always invest it more in education and trying to make sure it's a safe product.
Well, you can make your schools safer.
Make your schools safer. Educate the kids about it. All that good stuff. Yeah.
Well, thank you very much, Toby. I appreciate taking your time out of your day to give us a little information, show us around your shop, and help educate people.
Yeah, appreciate it. My pleasure.